Okay, so we're back here today to test out all the controllers that I have. I have two G7 Gamesir G7 SEs, two Gamesir G7 HEs, the Iron Man edition and the Blacked Out edition, and two Vader 4 Pros and one Apex 4 by all three of these are by Flydigi. So we're gonna test out the input tests and joystick tests, and we're going to test out the game. The programs we're gonna be using is the Gamepad LA and the Xinput test and the joystick tester. So we're gonna test these out, starting with the first controller that the first third-party controller that I own was going to be the Gamesir G7 SE. So we're gonna test that out first. So we're gonna open two versions of Gamepad LA. So this is gonna be the 1.0.9 version. So we're gonna do X input enter, and we're gonna do 2000 sample. So press 1, enter, and now I'm gonna rotate the left joystick. And using the Gamesir Nexus app, we did put this at 1000 hertz, so it's set at polling rate at 1000. Average polling rate is 859 and 8.592% stability, and minimum latency is 0.86, maximum is 2.55, and jitter is at 0.32. So let's see if we can do that again. One more test on that one. So again, one more test. So again, this is the 1.0.9 version. So X input, and we're going to do the 2000 sample. So 1, enter. So again, we're going to rotate the left joystick. So here we go. So we're pulling 892 on this one at 89.26% stability, and a minimal latency of 0.54, maximum 2.54, and jitter at 0.26. So we're gonna minimize this window here just a little bit. So that's gonna be the first gamepad test. We're gonna go with this gamepad version, and this is gonna be the 1.15 version. So again, we're gonna do the X input, enter, do the 2000 sample, 1, enter. So again, we're gonna do this with the left joystick. So we're pulling 890.40 at 89.05% stability. Minimum latency is 0.52. Maximum is 2.51. Jitter is at 0.27. So we're gonna minimize this one. Drag off to the side. And now we're gonna do the 2000 sample, since the gamepad was set at 2000 sample. So we're gonna do this with the 2000. So here we go. So right now this is showing that we're pulling at 1065.84 hertz, and minimum is 0.62, maximum is at 2.95, jitter is at 0.10. So we're gonna minimize this one. Oh, actually, let's pull up the other ones. So we'll pull up this one, and we'll pull up this one. As you can see, we can compare these numbers side by side with the gamepad testers. So let's bring So that's the version 1.1.5. This is going to be the 1.0.9 version. So let's compare the numbers on these ones. So here we are with jitter 0.27, 0.26 and the input test is going to be 0.10, and maximum is in the 2.51, 2.54, and here at the X input is going to be 2.95. Minimum is 0.62. Minimum is at 0.52. Minimum is at 0.54, and that's going to be for the first Gamesir G7 SE. And now we're going to run the joystick tester. And this is all on the GitHub website. So we're going to do this. Here we go. We're going to do the left joystick. As you can see, we got outer dead zones, and we're pulling at 935.46 hertz. So we can go to the Gamesir Nexus app, go to profiles, configure, stick. We're gonna do the left side. And the good thing about that joystick tester is that you can test both sides of the joystick. So you got your left and your right. So we're gonna go back to left, we can go back. And again, when we change that raw input on the Gamesir Nexus app on the joystick, so this is should give us a perfect circle. There you go. And we're pulling at 928.84 or 85 or 87. Jesus Christ. So here we go. So put that off to the side, pull up all these windows. So here we go. As you can see, in comparing them all side by side, so we're pulling on the joystick tester at 928, 892, 890, and the X input is going to be 165. So these are all the tests for the Gamesir G7 SE, my first third-party controller. So, and next up is going to be my next G7 SE. So the way I can tell that that from these two apart is going to be the friction ring. So my first one has the red friction ring, and my other one has a black friction ring. So we're gonna switch these out. So now we have the one with the black friction ring, and this is the G7 SE. So we're gonna do the gamepad 1.0.9 version. It's gonna be the first test. So it's gonna be X input, enter. We're gonna do the 2000 sample, 1, enter. So now we're ready to rotate the left joystick. So this is telling us we're pulling out of 1000 hertz setting. Is going to be 852.62 at 85.26 stability. Minimum 0.06, maximum 3.0. Jitter is 0.36. So we're going to minimize this one here and go to the next gamepad LA tester. It's going to be the 1.1.5 version. So we're going to do X input, enter, 2001, enter. So here we go again with the G7 SE. So we're pulling 881.64 at 88.16% stability. Minimum latency is 0.66. Maximum is at 2.54. Jitter is at 0.3. So we're going to minimize this window Move that to the side. And now we're gonna do the 2000 sample. And we're gonna rotate the left joystick. So here we go again. So this is telling me that we're pulling 1053.50 with a minimum at 0.60, max at 2.11 with a jitter of 0.11. So we're gonna minimize this one. And we're gonna leave that there. So we're gonna go to the joystick tester. And we're gonna go to your Nexus app, profiles, config, joystick. So we got the joystick at not raw input for that outer dead zone setting. So here we go. So we're gonna do the joystick tester. So here we go. So this is telling me that we're pulling 935 hertz. And let's bust out all the apps that we used to get all our input. So here we go. Let's actually put this one right here. The X input. Oh, let's put the X input over here. This one, I'm gonna bring this one to the side. Bring this to the side. Oh, actually, let's put this up here. Put this over here. So we can see the jitter. And we're gonna bring the joystick tester over here and bring this one over there. So we can compare them side by side. There you go. So this is going to be the 1.0.9 version and the 1.1.5 version. So let's compare these all side by side. So as you can see, we got jitter at 0.11 on the X input test. Pulling rate is at 1053. Pulling rate is at 852. Pulling rate is at 881. And this is pulling at 935. Let's see. We're going to do the average. Average is the X input is at 0.94. Average is at 1.17. Average is at 1.13. Maximum is at 3.0. 2.54. Max is at 211. Jitter is 1.11, 1.36, and 1.3. And again, here's our joystick tester with circle error is at 0.0%. So, and yep, so that's going to be the other Gamesir G7 SE. So, and now we're gonna head over to the G7 HE. So here we are with the Gamesir G7 SE, HE. And we're gonna pull up the gamepad. We're gonna do an X input on this one. Oh, forgot to turn on the controller. So, because it's giving me no controller found. So let's do that one more time. Do X input, X enter, do 2000 sample, enter. So now we're going to rotate the left joystick. So these, all my Gamesir are on the app. I got them all set at 1000. So but this is telling me that this is pulling at 884.25 hertz with the 88.42 stability. Minimum, we'll compare these side by side as soon as I finish the testing. So let's bring this gamepad over here. So I'm gonna bring up the next app. do the X input, enter, 2000 sample, enter, and now we're going to rotate the left joystick again. So this is, we'll compare these side by side. So I'll put this over here, and now we're going to do the 2000 sample since I put this at the setting for 2000. So we're going to do the X input test at 2000, and we're ready to do the left joystick. So here we go. So this is telling me that we're pulling with 0 outliers out of 1,000 input. This was pulling at 1069.65. So we're gonna minimize this there, and we bring that right here, and we're gonna pull up the joystick test. Do this, and let's see if this is. I don't even know if this. I put the exit out of the raw input, so we're gonna find out. So this is telling me that we're pulling 939.31 hertz with a 0% circular error. So let's bring out all the windows. So we're gonna bring this one, that one, bring this one. Okay. So we put this over here. This right over here. Put this one right over there. Well, let's actually put this one right over here, side by side. Here, and we're gonna pull this to the side right over here. So this is let's compare them side by side. All right. With the X input, our minimum is going to be 0.63, minimum 0.57, minimum 0.72, max is 2.04, max is at 2.51, max is at 2.51. So these are both giving the same data. Let's put this one down. There you go, bring it up a little bit. There you go. So here we go again. And our average is at 0.93. Average is at 1.13. Average is at 1.13. So these are both comparable. And this is going to be the 1.1.5 version and the 1.0.9 version. So there you have it for this G7 HE blacked out edition. Again, this is pulling at 1069 on the X input, and it's telling on the gamepad is telling me that this is pulling 8.8 or 883, 884. So these are basically almost similar in on the input tests. And then the joystick tester is giving me 939.31. So this is set at 1,000 when you press your profile and put this at 1,000 hertz. And after before the end of the video, I'll show you that changing the setting to 500, and I'll do an input test just to give you that mind comfort that the Nexus app does work as it should. So we're gonna minimize this, and now we're gonna move on to the Gamesir Ironman G7 HE edition. So here we have the Gamesir G7 HE Ironman edition. See, Ironman. So we're gonna do the gamepad first. So we're gonna do X input, enter, 2000 sample, enter. So we're gonna rotate the left joystick. So this is telling me that this is pulling 876.82. So I'm gonna minimize this so we can compare the other ones to this one. And now we're gonna pull this to the side over here. And now we're going to pull the 1.15 version. 1.1.5 version. There you go. So X input, enter, 2000 sample, enter, and again the left joystick. So this is, again, we'll compare these numbers side by side. Let's bring that over here, right there, and we're going to do the 2000 sample. And again, the left joystick. And we'll minimize this to there. And last but not least, we'll do the joystick tester. And the joystick tester. Select, and now the left joystick. So this is telling me that we're pulling 9.919. So let's bring this one over here and bring out all our testing that we did. So let's bring the X input over here, the 2000 sample. Bring the gamepad over here. Compare them side by side. And the joystick tester. So let's show you the versions, the 1.1.5 version and the 1.0.9 version. So go back to jitter, All right, so comparing it to the X input, we're gonna have one outlier at 2.94. Again, it's pretty strange. So minimum is at 0.65. Minimum is at 0.53, minimum is at 0.54. Max is going to be 2.93, max is going to be at 2.54, max is going to be at 2.52, and the jitter is going to be 0.13, 0.32, 0.29. And these are all, so this is the pulling rate is going to be 1053 on the 1058 on the X input test with the 2000 sample, and the average is at 0.94, average is at 1.15, average is at 1.14. So these two are basically side by side, very similar, and with it pulling at 1058 with a 919.8 0.08 on the joystick tester. So I would say these two right here are very similar in pull rate, but with the gamepad LA input test, it's telling me that this is pulling 869, 874, and these two stability numbers are basically the same. And that's going to be the Gamesir G7 HE Ironman edition. So, and now we're going to move on to the Flydigi Vader 4 Pro. So we will go wired for this one, for the first Vader 4 Pro. So we're going to put that dongle switch on, press the home button, and now we're ready to do our test with full battery already. So we're gonna go to Gamepad LA. We're gonna do the X input, 2000 sample, and here we go. So this is telling me that we're pulling 820 with an 82% stability, minimum 0.64, average 1.22, maximum 3.0. That's going to be interesting to see on the X input test. So let's minimize this, drag that off to the side, the next gamepad LA. So X input, enter 2000, enter, and now we're ready to do our tests. So here we go. So again, we'll do this side-by-side comparison after we do all the testing. Pull that to the side right here. 2000 sample here. So here we go. So let's do this. Let's minimize that. And now the game stick tester. Circularity test, basically. So this is telling me that we're pulling 852 hertz with a 0.20. Oh, let's see. Let's do that one more time. Still giving us a circle error of 0.2%. Whoa, we're pulling a 570. Let's do that one more time. Let's actually exit out of that. Bring it back up. Start that all over again. Let's go. So again, now we're pulling 853. And let's see. Let's do this. Over there, bring up all our testing. So the X input is going to be first over here, and those game pads over here. Let's see, right there and right there. So we're going to be insert side by side. Bust that out right there. Actually, let's bring that down right there so we can compare the numbers. So this is giving. So this Flydigi Vader 4 Pro is going to be pulling at 853, and we'll show the versions, the 1.1.5 and the 1.0.09 version. So go back to jitter. So we'll scroll back down to jitter. Okay, there we go. So our jitter is going to be, let's back it up again. So now we're pulling, this one's going to be pulling at 981, 816, 820. Stability is at 81 and 82. Minimum is going to be 0.58, 0.6. Max is going to be 5.95. Max is at 2.99. Max is at 3.0. And average is going to be 1.01 on the X input. Average is at 1.23, 1.22. And this is telling us that we're pulling 853. So these three right here, these three tests are telling me that this is pulling at 850, at around the 800 range, and this is giving me a 981. So there we go. I guess we're gonna move on to the next Vader 4 Pro. So let's just show you. So 2 Vader 4 Pros, Vader 4 Pro, Vader 4 Pro. So we're gonna go, and this is all wired. So we'll do the dongle tests after all this with the Gamesir 500 hertz pull rate test. So on to the next one. So we're gonna turn off this one, and the way I can tell the difference is from these two Vaders is this has the universal thumb caps with the high rise on this one, and this one is just pretty much the basic thumb grips. So now we're gonna go to the high stick rise one, and we're gonna switch on that to the dongle. So back to dongle. There's the home, and we're fully charged on this one as well. So here we go. closing out all of these. So we're gonna go back to Gamepad LA. So I'm gonna do X and put enter. 2000 sample in. Okay, so here we go. So this, we'll do them side by side. Don't need to tell you that. Show you afterwards. So pull that over there. Next gamepad. X input enter. 2000 enter. So here we go again. Minimize this one. Whoa, so this one just told me that we're pulling 502. Let's redo that one. Just to show that I'm not messing around or did an off-camera anything off camera. So you basically, you guys are going with me on this one. So here we go again. Let's do this one more time. Oh, so now that's way better. Okay, so we're 18. Close, minimize this one. Bring it over here. So now we're gonna do the 2000 sample. So here we go. Okay, I like those numbers, so let's minimize that. Bring that over here, and now we're gonna do the joystick tester. And both on the Flydigi Space app, I do have these Vader 4 Pros because it gives you the option to put in circular or triangular mode. So we're gonna go. I put them all in circular mode, so just to give me the no outer dead zones. So here we go. Whoa! So that gave me a 473. So this one, I don't know why this one's giving me inconsistent number. So we're gonna do that one again. So we're gonna log out. Log back in. Let's do that one more time. Again, you guys are doing this with me in real time, so select. So here we go again. Okay, I like those numbers way better. So 854. So let's bring up all the testing that we did. So we're gonna do that, and that. So we're gonna bring X input over here. That right there, and that right there. And I'll show the versions: the 1.1, the 1.0, back to jitter, and the joystick tester. Just bring the numbers right there, so you guys can see them side by side. So with the X input 2000 sample test, we are pulling. So so we got 7 outliers. So that one's weird. I gotta watch over the video and see how many outliers the other one had. The first Vader 4 Pro test. But let's see. So this is the pulling rate at 958. Pulling rate is at 818, 813. Stability 81, 81. So these two are pretty much side by side. Minimum is going to be 0.50. Minimum is at 0.57, 0.53. So these all match up. Maximum input, I did not like that one. So that's going to be 60. Let's find the smaller number. Let's find the smaller. Okay, so let's find a minimum that looks okay. So we got 3.97, 3.94, 3.93, 3.8. So this is good. Let's make these numbers all right here line up with this and this. So minimum is good. Yeah. Okay. So actually, let's do that the max. And we're gonna use these numbers for the max. So this is telling me around in the 9.90 era minimum, and then going over here on the maximum latency, it's gonna give me 3.0 and 2.85. And let's make all these three numbers. Let's forget that one right there, and then we use these ones for the max. So it's giving me 3.90 on this one. So 87, 84, 93, 94, and 79 over here. So again, we're comparing all these numbers together. Jitter is going to give us, on the X input, it's going to be 0.28, 0.4, 0.4. So these are all pretty much matching right here. And with the pulling rate, this is 813, 818, 958, and 854. So these three tests right here are telling me this is pulling 850. Let's go 825 and meet these two right here, and meet this one right in the middle. And this one's giving us at 858, 958 on this one, on the X input test. So there we go for the other Vader 4 Pro. So now we're gonna move on to the Apex 4. And so here we have the Apex 4 by Flydigi. So let's exit out of these. Exit, exit, exit. Alright, so we're gonna go with the gamepad LA first. X input, enter, 2000, enter. So here we go. So that's giving me 886. So minimize that. Go on to the next gamepad. So here we go again. I like those numbers, so we're going to minimize that. Try to get off to the side. Now we're going to go to the 2 sample. So this is where it gets a little funky. Let's see if we can get no outliers on this one, or very minimum outliers. So here we go. Okay, good. I like these numbers, so we're going to keep this one. And now for the joystick tester. So on the Flydigi Space app, there's no option to make this in the joystick into circular mode. I believe these are all going to be triangular mode locked. So here we go. Yep. Whoa, so that gave us a 474 with 8 circular arrows. So that's going to be these yellow lines outside the circle. So we're gonna go close that out. Let's do that one more time. I don't like that number. So here we go. So okay, let's clear that up a little bit. There you go. Just make it a good, perfect shape without those little jitters. That's me. That's operator errors when you do that. So that's giving us a circle. Oh, okay, let's compare these now, since we finished the input test. So X input is going to be over here. Gamepad LA, gamepad LA. So let's drag that right here. All right, let's actually go back way back over here to the jitter. Side by side, put these numbers side by side. All right, so let's do the pull rate first. So on the X input with the 2000 sample is going to give us 1109 hertz. That's a big number for this Apex 4 by Flydigi. So, but on the gamepad LA tester is giving me, and we'll show the versions right here. So this is the 1.1 and this is the 1.0. Let's go back to jitter, scroll back to jitter. Let's go up, there you go. So these are all telling me that they're pulling 1000 hertz with 886, 896, and that's 1109. And this is telling me 946.87. So, and then okay, so let's go down to the minimal latencies. So this is giving me a minimum of 0.63, minimum 0.57. I like that. Minimum is 0.53. So these are all pretty much almost matching up. With a max on the max input test, the X input test is going to be 1.15. Max is going to be 2.51. So these are basically identical, with a jitter of 0.06, jitter at 0.26, 0.27. And let's see again. Already going to pull rate on this one. Let's see. Oh, the average. So this average on the X input is going to be 0.90. Average is going to be 1.13, 1.112. Right. So these are all the numbers. So I would say they pretty much match up with the pull rate, the latency, and the hertz. Pull rate is the hertz. So there you go for the Apex 4 by Flydigi. So I was gonna do the hardware tester, but I would say these are pretty much giving me the right circular error. So if let's pull that up. So we're gonna click this one. Actually, I gotta restart this one. So here we go. So not sure why this is not pulling up. I don't know why the wire doesn't work for the hardware tester. So let's actually go back. Interesting. Again, I don't know why it's not giving me any numbers to mess with, but let's actually, so I'm going wired with the Flydigis. These are all wireless controllers. So let's go with the dongle tests. So we're gonna use the Apex Flydigi with the dongle. So let's reload this one again. Not sure why this is not giving me what I want. Let's go back to Google. Interesting. Don't know why it's not giving me anything. Let's log out of these input testers. Close. Let's see. Let's actually, there you go. Let's close out of that. Reload. Interesting. But anyways. Not giving me that test. Wonder why the Flydigi is not giving me. You would register, but I'm not seeing why it's not giving me what I want. Game tester. I want to pull up. Huh. Interesting. So apparently the Flydigis are giving me some trouble. So like I said, I was gonna come back to the Gamesir pull rate tests using the 2000 sample. Or we're gonna go back to the, just to show you that the pull rate is works. So we're gonna set this to, let's set that to 500. So minimize that. Bring back the folder. And we're gonna put, let's do the 2000 sample. So just to show you that the 500 is working. So we're gonna go rotate. So that's giving me 534.34. And again, just to give you more, so we're gonna use the latest version of the gamepad. And again, this is using the Nexus app, setting it at 500 hertz, just to show you that it does work. So we're gonna go Xinput, enter, 2000 sample, enter, and now we're gonna rotate the left joystick again. So again, so this is pulling at 500, and that gave me a 597. So it's giving me a true 500 hertz pull with latency. So we're gonna pull that up again with the Xinput test, just so we can compare numbers. Sorry, there you go. So we can compare the numbers together side by side. So that's giving us a minimum of 1.0, minimum 1.55, average is going to be 1.87, average is 2, so that's pretty much comparable. Max is at 2.15, max is at 351, and jitters at 0.09, 0.5. So again, and we're going to go back again, set it back to 1000. And let's do these tests again. So let's do the 2000 sample again. And here we go. You can do it with me. So that's giving me 1086. And we're gonna bust out the latest version of gamepad. Just to show you that the Nexus program does work. When you set the pull rates on here. So we're gonna go Xinput, enter, 2000 sample, enter. So here we go with the left joystick. So this is giving me 889 with a 88. So this is actually telling me that if you put this at 500 hertz, it's giving me more of a stronger stability on the controller. So again, we'll pull up the input test. Put that over here. So here we go. So this on the Xinput is giving me 1086 on the pull rate, and over here is 889 on the pull rate, with minimum 0.55, minimum 0.53, average is going to be 0.92, average is going to be 1.12, and max is going to be 2.13, max is going to be 224, and jitter is at 0.28, jitter is at 0.8. So again, that's giving, and this is telling me that's pulling 1000 with the G7 HE and using the Nexus app. the Gamesir Nexus app for G. Ooh, so this is new. They actually made this. I wonder if it recognizes. So this is gonna be the G7. Just log out of there. The G7 HE, and now this is the G7 SE. Let's go with the newer version. Let's see. Here we go. And we're gonna turn it on. Oh, yeah. Oh crap! So it does. So I just noticed this, that I think there was a software update on the Nexus, but that was not, that it wouldn't change when you hook up the HE version. So G7 SE, G7 SE, and it's actually giving us the right. Okay, here's the G7 HE with the Iron Man edition. So here we go. There you go. Turn it on. Yep. Okay. So now I guess there was an update on the Gamesir Nexus app. So G7 HE, and there you have it. There's the pull rate test on all the controllers that I had. Actually, let's do that. Okay, so again, I'm back. So we're gonna use the dongle just to see if there's any difference in latency or pull rate. But this one, we're gonna go with the latest product on the internet. Is going to be the Apex Vader 4 Pro. Home button. Log out of the Gamesir. The Gamesir app. So let's do the 2000 sample. Here we go. And this is with the dongle plugged in, not wired. So here we go. So that's giving me 1103 on the X input. Bring that to the side. And now we're gonna bust out the latest version of the gamepad, the 1.15. There you go. So let's do this. X input, enter 2000 sample, enter. So here we go. Can you do this with me? Ooh, so that's giving me 500 hertz. 500. Let's do that one more time. Let's move the joystick just a little bit quicker. Enter. So here we go. Let's do that one more time. Okay, so that's way much better. So I don't know why the Vader 4s or the Apex, the Flydigis give me interesting numbers. I think it's the way how fast you move how fast you move the joysticks as input tests. So that's giving me 1000 hertz when I did that, with an actual pull rate of 885. Let's bring that over here. Bring out the X input test. So here we go again. So that's going to give me, on the X input, it's going to give me 1103, and the gamepad LA is going to give me a 885. Minimum is 0.58. Minimum is at 0.62. Max, ooh, that's a big outlier. So we're gonna go with the smallest number on here. So max is at 2.27, and the max over here is going to give me 6.93. And I'm guessing that's operator error, because I would do another one. Let's do that one more time. So we're gonna do another 2000 sample. So here we go. Okay, so we did that one more time, and now we got a different minimum. So these two minimums match up right here, but on the max, sorry, the max is gonna give me the max over here is pretty much looking at this outlier right here, this 10, but it's giving me a 9.997. So if it's rounding off, that's a 10. But we're gonna go with this one right here, this number right here. So 2.91 and a max of 2.27. Average is going to be 1.13. X input is going to be 0.91. So these are basically this was my test, and this is using the 2.4 gigahertz dongle on the Apex Vader 4 Pro, or yeah, sorry, the Flydigi Vader 4 Pro while using the dongle. And there you have it. These are, and that's going to be my all my basically my game pads that I own, and that's going to be the pull rate and circularity test with the joystick tester giving me those numbers. And you can look at the percentage, and that usually lines up with the hardware app. Let's actually do it with one of the Gamesir controllers and see if we have. Let's see if we have a different. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Why my Vader 4 Pros are not giving me that hardware test. So hardware tester. So let's go to here. So okay, so now we're using the G7 SE by Gamesir, and let's see, let's actually bust out that program by the joystick tester, and we're gonna do that with a lot of those. Let's bring this out. Let's do the circularity test, joystick test. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna do this with 0.0, and let's go to this one with a 0.4. So there you go, and there you have my numbers for the stick drift. These are all resting at 0.00002. both sides. I would do the right stick, but it has a precision ring on it, so I'm gonna get funky numbers, like pretty much dead zone, kind of like a dead zone outlier. But yeah, and there you have it. So right there, and that's giving me a circular error of 0.0. And I would say these two match. If these two, the test circularity and the circle error, so these two numbers match up as percentage wise, because it's under 0.05, and that's a 0.04 or 0.4 error. Yeah, so there you go, and that's going to be my tests on all the game pads that I own. 7 game pads, 2 Vader 4 Pros, Apex 4, 2 G7 HEs, 2 G7 SEs, and using all my testers on here, the Xinput, the gamepad LA, and the joystick tester. So there you have it.